here to see if I can get the screen.
You got it, brother. You ready?
Let me see if I'm just going to get you. Do this
there
right.
You go. We see you crystal clear, man. We're going live now. On a smooth Monday afternoon. How's everyone doing? It's the Teddy Bear, and welcome to Night Traxx Radio. And today's artist spotlight, Grammy and Emmy Award winning artist, songwriter, producer, author, and his tenure with the legendary Dazz band and also Kool and the Gang. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome to our show Mr. Skip Martin. And Lord have mercy, we got some music on the way, not one but two new singles on his campaign to release a single every Friday. Lord have mercy, called 52 Fridays. It's a beautiful thing. Brother Martin, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Teddy Bear. It's kind of funny calling a big old grown man Teddy Bear, but that's all good.
It's all good.
Teddy Bear. Big Bear.
Hey, man. Hey. You know what? First of all, again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us today. We have a lot to talk about. This initiative that you have started is something, for me, I've been doing this now for close to 20 years. And this is something that's completely unheard of, where you have an artist that releases new music every Friday. And I wanted to ask you, and I know a lot of the listeners would like to know, what initiated this plan for you to start this kind of campaign, this grassroots movement to do something like this?
Retaliation. That's what made me do it. Okay, so, I'm 66 years old. I've recorded probably 62 albums in my life. I've had platinums and golds and diamonds and everything you can think of, accolades from Emmys and Grammys and all of this stuff. But I can't even get a record deal because of the way things are in our systems and what have you, unless you have enough money to buy the dang thing.
Right.
That's really what it came down to. So I said, well, instead of trying to play into that game, I'm just going to play ball because I've been a baller for 50 something years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a leader and initiate the fact that you don't have to have this record company or this or that. We have the technology and all of those things today. And if you have the content, then you can do like I'm doing. And I created a campaign called 52 Fridays. And I have so much music that people have never even heard. And I figured, well, go to AI, create an artwork for each one of my singles, old or new, and relaunch them. And build up the fan base, whether a record company picks me up or somebody enjoys that or not. It doesn't matter, because at this point in time in life, I didn't do this to get Grammys and Emmys, and I don't do this to get girls and houses and cars. I did this because I was 7 years old, and I was riding in the back of a Dodge Rambler with my grandmother and grandfather. We were going somewhere, and Nat King Cole had just passed away. And I heard him singing, "Unforgettable, that's what you are." And it sounded to me like he was in the car with us. And I looked over to my grandmother. I said, "Nana, that's what I'm going to do." And she turned around. She said, "What, baby?" I said, "I'm going to play music so that when I die, people will feel like I'm still in the car with them." So that's why I'm doing it. I'm leaving a path of my life and what I've represented, because I only did this because really, in the whole scheme of things, we're like a grain of sand, one grain of sand in the equation of the universe and all that exists, all that is possible, because possible came first. And
without question.
And so that grain of sand, that means I just blend in with everything else that's already been there. But I wanted to make a path in that sand, that I was here, that I had something to contribute to life, to humanity. And from the good book, from the very beginning, one of the most incredible, influential elements of our existence was the sound of music.
Yes.
And the devil, who God created as well, because he created everything, he was the maestro of all of the music. So with that being said, I'm not being a devil, but I am being gifted what God gave me. And you get more when you give. And I'm not looking for a return. I don't care if I get #1 record or not. It's not in my vision.
Right.
I'm leaving a path in humanity, and that's what the vision is, and that's why I was inspired to do this.
Well, I can definitely understand. I came up with this thought a couple of nights ago. I said, you know what? Time is not a commodity.
Right.
It's something that you can. It's something that you can never get back. So cherish the time that you have, and live every day like it's his last. And I applaud you for taking the stands of doing something like this. And I remember Prince when he was under Warner Brothers. That's one of the things that really pissed him off. Is that he always felt that an artist should have complete creative control over their music and have the ability to release it whenever they choose to release it. And I see more and more artists now are taking the initiative by being independent artists and signing a distribution deal and having complete creative control over the music. And I want to touch upon that. What does it mean to you to have that level of control over your music without the machine trying to dictate to you when and where you should release your music?
I never thought about it in that aspect of the restrictions or the things that will hold you back or choices you would have to make. What does it feel like to do this without a record company, whatever? I never even thought about that because it wasn't a factor to me. It's not a factor to me. Just we have the technology, the same technology that the record companies use. We've got all the access as individuals to the same thing that record companies use. What it used to be was there was only 4 television stations. There was only 1 or 2 radio stations before. I mean, BET was created because they wouldn't put black faces on it. I was there. I remember. We had Let It Whip. That's why we don't have any legendary video on Let It Whip when it came out, because we came out 2 years before BET was created. And they had MTV, which weren't putting any people that had the complexion like me on there. Not until Rick James and Super Freak and Michael Jackson and Thriller. If you think about it, when those things came out, that's when it started changing. They said we need to get on board, but blacks had already created BET so that we could be on board anyway because they were following what we were doing.
I remember that because I remember the interview that David Bowie gave on MTV, and he called them out for their racist practices. He said, how is it that you can have great groups like the Isley Brothers and so influential black groups that are not getting any airplay on MTV? And he had, and I think it was Mark, I want to say it was Mark Goodson. Hopefully I'm saying his name correctly. And he just kind of sat there kind of dumbfounded because he could not give an intelligent response to justify why black artists were not getting airplay, but they had no issue with the second coming of the British invasion continuously getting airplay on MTV. I mean, from Duran Duran, you name it. That's all you've seen on MTV. But again, I'm so happy and very proud, again, that you've taken this initiative, this campaign, this ground roots campaign to release not good, but fantastic music every Friday. And I'm going to tell you something. Careless is wonderful, but the one you just released this past Friday, Energy, is even better. And I wanted to ask, when you go into the studio, who's working with you as far as on the production side of the music?
Well, I have a couple of people. One of the guys that I did a lot of music with, his name is Tom Schumann.
Okay.
He was the keyboard player from the world-acclaimed group Spyro Gyra. Been there for all of those years. Keyboard player, one of the most phenomenal keyboard players I've ever played with and I've ever known personally. Just bad monstered cat. And people that are really good at what they do, they can walk right by you. You wouldn't even know it.
Right.
Because they have a certain confidence and they have a certain energy about themselves. They don't have to prove anything. And they just walk by you, this guy will walk by you and you're like, man, you know how to play piano? He said, I can play some. Would you play something for us? And you'll get up there and blow your skin off of your head. You'd be like, dang, go, woo! He's like that. And so he's my executive producer on everything. And then I have another guy named Clarence Ross. We call him Dr. Bob. And I've known him since I was 19 years old. And I'm 66 now, so you do the math. And we've known each other for a long time. And he's really a great, great producer and a great engineer. And he's got a lot of, we call him Dr. Bob because whatever he puts together makes you go like this. You just start bobbing. And so we call him Dr. Bob. And so those two guys have been my main influence in helping me to be the hands and the ears on what I'm doing. God gifted me with the ideas and the talent. But without the hands to translate what's in your head to what's on tape, then it's like an idea, and everybody's got one.
Without question.
Yeah, so I have learned over years and time, there are certain C words for success. And two of the very first C words are the most integral to having success at anything. First one is you have to have courage to go to a place that's less convenient and less comfortable, which is what I'm doing by doing this 52 Fridays. The second C word is you have to have the vision to collaborate with somebody else that has gifts that you don't have because there's power in numbers. The third C word would be you have to make choices, sometimes difficult choices, and be willing to be uncomfortable because that's where growth comes.
Right.
It's not a comfortable zone that growth comes. Growth occurs, growth does not exist in a comfort zone. So that's other things. And you have to have choices, and you have to take a chance on those choices that it's going to pay off so that you can have the equipment to handle the challenges that are going to come with the changes in your life.
Without question. Definitely very profound and very true. I wanted to ask you, do you think the lack of artist development has really dampened as far as what you see with a lot of upcoming artists? Because when you're part of two legendary groups like the Dazz Band and also Kool and the Gang, artist development, live performance, perfection is an integral part of success. And what I'm seeing is now the lack of artist development, to me, has watered down a lot of the music. And I wanted you to give your opinion and your viewpoint on that.
I think artist development was a business move to make money, because most artists that are out there, well, let's go to the very basic foundation of how we learn things.
Okay.
We learn things from mimicking.
Right.
We learn how to talk before we know how to read, because we're listening and we mimic. We learn how to run after learning how to walk from mimicking other people we see doing that. So the development comes from you observing others and mimicking them. All these new artists that come out today, what have you, they didn't have any freaking artist development. They had people to watch and mimic. And then everybody's mimic is going to be their perception of what they see. And that's where the individuality comes in. There's nothing that hasn't already been played or already been done. So when you think about it, it's really the development. It was just a device used to make money off of the ones that don't have talent and don't have that perspective. So there were more people that didn't have the talent and that perspective than there were ones that did. So
Right.
and big companies and corporations and what have you, they saw, well, we can make money off of those that have the desire.
Right.
To have the desire doesn't make you a world acclaimed artist.
Yeah.
What it does make you is it makes you a participant and a fan that supports those artists, that helps to make them successful. Not everybody has that, so that's why I've learned that, I could play all kinds of music. I could play jazz. However, the masses don't comprehend on that level.
Yeah.
The masses comprehend more on yoo-hoo and whip it, baby, and get down on it. Get down on it. The guy in the bathroom can sing it and not feel intimidated. The girl that's over there, cherish the love you have. The whole audience can sing that and not feel intimidated because they don't have talent like the ones that created it. So when you're doing music and you're performing music, you have to identify that you're doing it for them. Because if you do it for yourself, you're doing musical masturbation. That's my take on it.
Right. I agree. I guess for me as a music purist, I think as in everything in life, there has to be a balance. You can write, you can produce, you can play instruments. And I've always thought that a lot of times, a lot of these young artists don't really take the gifts that they have been given, their God-given gifts that they have been given, to really take the initiative to really hone their skills and to be better artists. I think that's the problem that I'm having with a lot of these young artists, and they're putting out music that does not touch a lot of people. It's like what James used to say. They're talking loud and saying nothing. There's nothing we can gravitate to.
Yes, that's a really good point about that, what you're saying. And my take on that is the generations that we are in right now don't appreciate failure.
Thank you.
Okay, because failure is what makes success so sweet.
Yes.
And I couldn't be able to play when I'm playing on my horn and talk to a metal object like it's got a soul of its own. To me, music is the sound of a soul singing.
Right.
And you have to be willing to try something and find out, well, that don't work. Failure is a part of the success. So there lies the impatience that the young
It's all right, Finn. We just have a few little technical difficulty, and we can skip right back on the show. Remember, the 2 new singles that are available as we speak, Careless and Energy, are available right now on Apple Music. And to get all the latest updates, be sure that you stop by Skip's official website that's at skipmartinmusic.com. Again, new hit singles that are out currently are Careless and also Energy. And be sure to follow him also on Instagram with the same handle. What we're trying to do now is trying to get Skip back on modern technology. You've got to love it. And to get all the latest updates, let your fingers do the walking. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook channel. That's at facebook.com/Night Traxx Radio with 2 X's. The same for YouTube. That's at Night Traxx Radio Music Podcast. That's on YouTube. So if you missed the interview in its entirety, you can watch it on there. And also, we're on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Deezer, you name it, we are there. What we're going to do, try to get Skip back on. We lost connection to him, so hopefully he'll be back on real soon. But before we go any further, I want to send out a very special thank you to my man, Christopher Williams, for joining us actually on Friday, along with super producer extraordinaire, DJ Vanix, and also Micah Montana. I want to thank them brothers for joining us on Friday, and be sure to get that new hit single that's out currently called Do Your Dance. That's available on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora. And if you're feeling even a little bit more adventurous, you can always head over to Amazon.com. Still trying to wait for Skip to get back on with us. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and allowing the teddy bear to help you tune out all the negativity on a very somewhat cloudy, overcast Monday afternoon. Hope everybody had a phenomenal weekend. It's definitely a blessing to be back on the show. Again, we'll wait for Skip to get back on, see what we can do here. All right, there we go. Oh, my program director just informed me. Please, when you get an opportunity, you have to stop by our Instagram page and be sure to join our private our private club. That means once you join that, you will get firsthand knowledge who is going to be joining the show, who's going to appear on the show. And if there's a particular artist that you like to have on the show, please let us know. We will make that happen. Because at the end of the day, we want our R&B, we want our music in general shaken, but never stirred. Lord have mercy. And I believe this is Skip calling. Let me see what just got off the public saxophone with Skip. He had some technical difficulties on his end, but he will be rejoining the broadcast within about, time is ticking. Hopefully within the next 2 minutes, he'll be joining us back live. But again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And remember, again, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's at Night Traxx Radio Music Podcast. Night Traxx with 2 X's. Handles 2 X's. Also on Instagram, Twitter, or should I say X, that was formerly Twitter. Boy, they changing these names just as true as they changing t-shirts and underwear. Lord have mercy. Okay. And also on Instagram. And last but not least, be sure to follow us on TikTok. That's at tiktok.com/Night Traxx Radio. My goodness. There's a lot of, there's a lot of times when I have a discussion, or the privilege of having discussions with wonderful artists, and we discuss music to the point as far as getting an opportunity to give the listeners out there a behind the scenes look of what it takes to be an artist. And I think a lot of times, a lot of these young artists that are coming up in this industry, the facade is built that I want to be a star, with the fancy cars, expensive clothes, and so forth and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But people have to clearly understand, a lot of these artists have to understand, is that it's called the music business. And I'm putting the emphasis on business. This is a business first. And before you even thinking about making this a career, you have to really thoroughly understand the business aspect of music. Contracts, making sure that you have an entertainment lawyer to read over your contract once you sign a contract with any major record label. Because the thing is, they want to sit up here and give you some money, and you think, hey, I have this money, I can sit up and buy this $100,000 automobile, buy this big palatial estate, and you don't realize that the money that is being given to you by the label is no more than a loan. The label is like a bank. Matter of fact, they are a bank. They give you a loan, they give you a certain amount of money, the cost to pay for your recording, production fees, but they are looking to recoup that money ASAP. That's why you see so many artists today, they spent an inordinate amount of time touring, because that's how artists make their money. I know a lot of people are up in arms and say, wait a minute, how is Taylor Swift so popular? And a lot of us don't really know or familiar with Taylor Swift's music. I can tell you right now, I've been doing this for 20 years. And I think I can maybe think of one or two songs that I've ever heard from Taylor Swift. And that's when we talk about taking the initiative and having the machine behind you. She has a label that pushes and promotes everything that she does. That's why it enables her to tour around the world, and her concerts are sold out because she has such a strong fan base. Now, the big difference is that when you become an independent artist, you are responsible for your music. You're responsible for the content that you create on social media. You're in charge of all that. It's your responsibility, which I think is a beautiful thing, because I think when you're in charge of your own destiny, it cuts out the middleman. Because how many artists that we've heard over the years, going all the way back to the 1950s, where you had artists being ripped off from their royalties, publishing, because you had a lot of artists that come from poor environments and they wanted to be a star. Very talented. I can go all the way back from Little Richard on up, from Little Richard, Nat King Cole, even Elvis Presley. People that had star quality and they were misused. But we got it. No need to fear. The teddy bear is here. We got my man back on the air with us, of course. The legendary Mr. Skip Martin is back. He has returned. Call his name and he shall appear.
Oh my goodness.
It's all right, brother. No worry. No need to fear. The teddy bear held everything down. Just giving the people what they need. So it's all right. It's all right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's no problem, brother. We got you, man. We got you. No, just
I was like, oh, what happened?
Just letting all the listeners and the watchers know, number one, about your music, which is important, where they can go purchase the music at. And also just letting them know about how this industry, when they say music, the music business, we put that emphasis on business, because
Yes.
It's a business first and foremost. A good friend of mine who passed away, Kashif.
Yes.
In times that numerous conversations that I had with that brother. I remember he was one of the first artists that came out with a book that he had written, talking about the business side of the music industry, knowing the kind of contracts that you were signing, making sure you have the right type of lawyers to protect, because most of these artists don't understand. You tell an artist is coming from a poor environment and you put $75,000 in front of them, that's more money than they've ever seen in their life. Mm-hmm. And they sign their life away, and they're not knowing that the record label is no more than a bank. Right. They're loaning you money and they're looking to recoup that money back. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, how long did it take you to get a full understanding on how this industry works?
Well, I never really fully understood how it works. I know how it's not working.
No, it's not.
and then I based what I needed to do around that. Instead of trying to figure out their game, I'm like, how do I make what I'm doing effective? And I didn't really start looking at it that way till later on in life, because I was so typical like everybody else. I was glad to be signed to Motown, even though they weren't doing anything for us at that time. I was really glad to be a part of this record company with Kool and the gang and so forth. But I didn't really understand the whole ins and outs of everything about that. But for me, it wasn't about the money.
Right.
So I wasn't focusing on that and how I was going to be secure and this and that. There's a phrase, when you believe it, you can be it. So I just started off with the belief, and I went on taking my journey, not focusing on all those other details that would distract me from finishing and completing what it is that I wanted to do. And for those of you that are out there listening now, I have a don't know, motto, what have you, that I go by. And one of those things is one completed idea is more valuable than 1,000 dreams. So my whole point was complete whatever it is that you're thinking about, dreaming about, and then go on to the next thing.
Right.
Don't isolate, don't study long, study wrong. If you study long, you will study wrong. It's already there for you. And if you really have faith, this will prove what will come from faith. If you believe it, you have faith in it, it will appear for you. But if you believe that I can't do it unless I have a record company to do this and that and so forth, well, then that's what you're going to reflect back to you. You can't.
Without question.
Because and until, so I've just always believed it didn't matter to me whether I had the record company to help me or not, and Motown and what that. I mean, yeah, we had Motown, and we were on Motown with the Dazz band, and we did 5 albums with the Motown. I met Berry Gordy one time when we were playing the Greek Theater. After we already had the hits, after we already climbed out of the bucket, after we already climbed up onto the rope, onto the branches of the tree, but they weren't anywhere around as we were coming up to do that. And actually, if it hadn't been for Reggie Andrews and Nduga Chancellor, well, actually, Reggie Andrews in particular, because he was a producer from Watt High School, a teacher. He was from I can't remember the name of the group, what he was in, but he was playing for the group before he came with us, and he produced a lot of young artists like Patrice Rushen when they first came out. Mm-hmm. I think his group was called Karma. Okay. And so he just had this vision, and with the talent that we had, we are 8, 9 guys in a band. Everybody, I mean, the Dazz band was the most talented group of individuals that I'd ever played with in my life. All of the guys that we were playing were bad. Everybody was bad. Everybody was bad. There wasn't a weak link in it. Everybody was bad. I mean, exceptionally bad. And that was very unusual. And he came in and gave all these great players a direction. And that helped to make the synergy go in one direction, because there's more power when you come together as one versus being a bunch of people and you're all going in different directions.
Right.
In that aspect, no matter how talented you are. That's why they have coaches for football teams. That's why they have, you got a lot of strong dudes out there, but if you don't have somebody coaching them, okay, you hit this guy, you hit that guy, you guys stay where you are, you get the receivers, blah, 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 and so forth, and that makes that whole team come off. And it's just like a band. A band can't be as directed unless everybody stays in their lane. Now, here's an example. I'm playing a song with Kool in the Gang. We're playing Jungle Boogie.
Okay.
And I'm out here on stage with these guys. And you got Kool. The guitars. He stays in his lane. The drummer. Keys. Now, everybody stays in their lane. That shit is just going whoa, like a train. Googly woogly. This is killing. All right. And then they tell me, okay, Skip, color it. Play your trumpet. So I'm playing the trumpet over these guys that are just give that. I just start. Now you're going in the same direction. We had coaches, we call producers, that help us direct that energy. And when there's power in numbers. And when you direct that energy, it's freaking undeniable.
Without question. That's an incredible synergy to have. When you have that kind of synergy collectively as a group, and to get that kind of high and that kind of rush in a live performance, how long does it take to come down off that kind of high?
It takes some hours, because it also helped me to be more prolific at what I was doing, because after the show, your energy and your spirit is so full and so high, you're just racing at 100 miles an hour. So I would go and I had my own video camera, a Sony video camera, little mini camera.
Okay.
And I would give that to the sound guys, put it up on the board, so that when we did the show, after us playing these things 100 times, there's going to be little nuances that are different from every time. And so I would video it, and I would go back to my room, and I would watch the whole 2.5 hour show again, so that I could take the elements that were good and the ones that weren't so good and know how to make it better the next time.
So you were critiquing your own performance.
Yes. So it would help me to critique my own performance and all of that.
Right.
And that time, since I was up, it helped me to come down and then get back into a space where I could breathe. And I'm like, okay, yeah. But that coming off of that stage, we're like, bing, boom, boom, zoom, ding, ding, bing, boom, whoa, ding, hi, oh my gosh. So that helped me to come down and focus. And that's what it took in order to perfect those performances, looking at yourself and critiquing what was good, and then what was the magic. The magic was the things that you didn't think about, and you just executed. You weren't studying it. You were being it. And that's what I call the God force. That's the perfect imperfections that make it unique. And that's what our younger people need to realize, that it's all right to try something. If you fail, it's just helping you to hone and perfect what will work.
Right.
So embrace that, that uncomfortable vulnerability. You got to be uncomfortable and vulnerable for the truth to come out, because truth is not comfortable.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
So, this is my take. It's just my opinion, y'all.
But that's all right. I mean, we all have opinions, and I agree with you. I mean, to me, that we live in a very microwavable society, today's society, where we're looking for instant gratification, looking for instant gratification, and not willing to put in the necessary work. As you said, in order to succeed, you have to fail. What do you ever know what it's like to win if you don't ever know what it's like to get back up off the ground?
Right.
And I see a lot of that now. There's like, hey, just gimme, and you're not willing to put in the necessary work and time to strive for perfection. Perfection is something that can never be achieved, but man, I tell you, it's a hell of a way to go after it, to keep striving for perfection. And you have had such an illustrious career, and you have accomplished so much. And I wanted to ask, at this stage in your career, what gives you more gratification? Still live performing, or working behind the scene as far as songwriting?
I get gratification from performing, because the root of that is I've been blessed to be able to make people feel good, and that fills my soul. Songwriting, I do that because I'm a creative individual, like a painter.
Right.
Well, for me, painting is like the maturation of a woman that's pregnant. That may be the most blissful time that a woman may feel in her life, is when she's maturing and nurturing a new life within her body, within her soul, within her spirit. And that's why some women come up and they have, after the child is born, they have postpartum depression. Now, I have 62 albums because of that same scenario. Each song that I write, each album that I do is like a child that I've nurtured and matured and given birth to. So when it comes to existence, then I get depressed. I'd be like, oh, is that it? Are we done? Oh, I feel so sad. What am I going to do now? I'm going to write another song.
Make another song.
And so I'm going to do another album. And then it will bring me back up again. And here we go. And I'm back into that mode. So that's why I have so many albums completed. It's because I would move on and create another child.
That's a beautiful thing. Speaking of albums, when can we expect, because you're releasing these singles every Friday?
Yes.
Prolific every Friday. When can we expect an album from you?
Don't expect an album from me.
Don't expect one.
Don't even expect an album from me. I'm really just embrace what it is that I'm dropping, because y'all don't care about no damn albums anymore anyway.
Oh,
the consumer out there, they don't care about no albums. They don't never necessarily listen. They only listen to one or two songs. That's why I can go ahead and put out these songs now, because they were already on that previous albums, but nobody listened to them. So, singles. The people's attention span is so much shorter now than it used to be. So I'm dealing with the environment that I'm given. They don't give a damn about my albums or what album. They ain't got albums to play anymore. They don't listen to the whole CDs. They ain't got those anymore. They're listening to a single because you got your attention for 3 or 4 minutes, if that.
Right. Now,
so what's the point?
I will say this. I agree with you to the extent of, as far as albums and the way they look at music and where they treat music here in the States is a travesty. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. But over outside the United States, in Switzerland, Japan, the UK, they love and revere our music. They still buy vinyl.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that because I spend half of my time in Japan. I've done a lot of work in Japan. I work a lot with the artists over there. I work a lot with the children and special needs people and kids and adults. And I do a lot of social work for communities and this kind of stuff. I do a lot of giving back, because it fills my soul to see them inspired and lifted up and what have you. For them, I do albums or collections. I'll put, 10 songs on, an album, and I'll call this Fam Favorites, and I'll keep on going. And because it gives them something when they come to see me for them to cherish.
Right.
And they have the signature on it. And for that purpose, I give them albums in those areas for that. But over here, they don't care about that. Yeah. And I don't care about it. If I have to go out and perform, I'm doing a show, and we got 10 acts on the show, and there ain't no time to sell an album, and people aren't coming up to buy the album. So it's just wasted energy. So I'm trying to create, if people like what I'm doing, or if I've touched people in the way I'm doing, then subscribe to my channel. Be a part of it and be a part of the family. You want to be in the family, you have to commit some energy to the family. So, when somebody needs you, you support them. And that's what families do. So I want my fans are my family. Yeah. So if my family really supports and believes in me, I'm good with just giving them what they want. I don't even care if I get new people in the family. I'm not trying to go out and be like them just so I can get more people in the family. I might, at this stage and age in my life, if there are new ones, and they'll hear about it from the rest of the family members.
Without question.
I'm going to seek them. That don't make any sense to me.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But again, I've said this 500,000 times. It's definitely an indictment on where we're at musically here in the States, but that's okay. Family, again, I want you to get out, Get the new music, the new singles, of course, from the legendary Mr. Skip Martin, of course, Careless, and also Energy is available. And just go on iTunes, Apple, and he has a cornucopia of new music that's being released every Friday. And to get all the latest updates, let your fingers do the walking. Be sure to stop by his official website. That's at skipmartinmusic.com. Now you'll be able to connect to all his social media outlets. Brother, it was definitely an honor to have you on the show. And this is your home, away from home, whatever you need.
Oh my God. You know, a teddy bear. I love you like a brother already, man. I don't even mind calling you teddy bear. You know, teddy bear. I just don't call him anyway. So let me leave you guys with a story, because what I've also learned about in my life is that, one, I've learned from my wisdom over the years to be a motivational speaker and help people and lift them in certain things. I'm also a book author. I've written a children's book called Morgan the Clydesdale Pony. That's on Amazon right now. It's a 5-star book for kids from 0 to 8 years of age. It's an esteemed thing about a Clydesdale pony that was bought at 2 months old by the owner of the Kentucky Derby racetrack. Long story short, he wanted to be a racehorse, and everybody laughed at him and dogged him out. And he kept believing that you can be anything, anything, anything. You can be anything if you believe. And that's the theme of the whole thing. And he becomes a thoroughbred. He wins he's a thoroughbred Clydesdale, but he ends up winning the Kentucky Derby because the racehorses couldn't run in the mud and he could. And he ends up winning the Kentucky Derby. So that's a good story for you. I wanted to pass that on, but I have another book that I just released. Audiobook called Fables of a Paid Piper. Fables of a Paid Piper. Paid Piper, okay. So fables like Aesop's fables. And I've got different stories, and I'm going to share this one as we're going out. This is one of the stories in the book, and this story is called The River. So I was 18 years old, and I have a brother. He's 2 years younger than I am, so he was 16. And I have been playing professionally in Sacramento since I was 15 years old. So he lived in Richmond, California. And in the summertime, his mother would send him to come stay with me in Sacramento and my mother. And I would take him around while I'm doing my gigs and everything. And his mother and my mother went to high school together, college together, had kids at the same time, had married at the same time, what have you, had divorces and all this. And my auntie, Juanita, she had 4 kids, 3 girls and 1 boy. And my mom had 1 boy and 1 girl. So they put the two of us together like brothers. That's how we were raised. So when he came and visited me, we had a great summer, this one summer. And at the end of the summer, I decided we were going to go take this raft and go down the American River and watch the girls on the side with their tops off and stuff. That was really cool for 18-year-old and 16-year-old. Having some good time. We had us a few cans of beer, our Afro picks in our hair, our young muscle body and stuff. We were doing it. Now he's from Richmond. He didn't know how to swim. I'm a country boy. I can swim my behind off. So we went down there, and he was kind of apprehensive, but he didn't know how to swim. I said, man, it's a drought this year. The river's lower than it usually is. And the water's not that deep anyway, so we're going to have a good time. So we go down. Now, once we get about an hour away from where my dad is going to come and pick us up at the pickup spot, after having our lovely day, I heard this sound. It sounded like rapids. I said, Lee, we can't go over these rapids in this raft. We're not going to make it. He said, I can't swim. I said, don't worry about it, man. The water's not that deep anyway. We're going to use this paddle, and we're going to paddle out. And as we're trying to paddle out of the river, the current was so strong, it kept pulling us straight down the river. And I said, man, Lee, we're going to have to get in the water and kick. He said, well, I can't swim. I said, just hold on to the raft. The water's not that deep anyway. But this is cold ice water. Trout live in this water. This is snow that melted from Lake Tahoe that's coming and making this American River. And it's ice cold. And we're just kicking and kicking, but the current is too strong, and it was pulling us right down the middle of the river. Now I looked down the river where the rapids were as we're getting closer to the rapids, and I could see this tree was felled, and the branches were pointing out of the water at us, long 6-foot branches. So I'm thinking, But there's branches out of the water. There got to be some branches underneath the water, and we getting ready to get shish kebab.
Right.
So we got down to the tree. My brother reached up and grabbed one of the branches, and he was holding onto it like a koala bear. Now I'm the oldest, and I could swim out of there, but I didn't want to leave him up on the tree and have to go home to my mom and his mom. I left him on the tree, and he slipped off and fell and drowned, or something crazy happened. So I'd rather die than that happen. So there was a rope tied to the base of that tree, and I grabbed the rope, and I stood in this hole. It was about 4 foot deep. I'm 6'2". The water was rushing up all the way to my neck. This ice cold water. I'm getting hypothermia. He's upside down, holding onto his branch. I'm like, Skip, what are we gonna do? I said, Lee, shut up. I'm getting and now it's starting to get dark. The ranger comes to close the park, and he sees my brother up on the branch, upside down like a koala bear. He can't see me because it's all in your head sticking out of the top of the water.
Right.
So the guy down the river, gets the raft, comes back out in the river and goes out into the water. And then he comes down and he tells my brother, jump on. He jumped on. Let go. They got to me, and I just got onto the side of the raft. Teddy bear, we must have floated about maybe 20 yards from there.
Wow.
The water was calm and 2 foot deep. The water was calm and 2 foot deep. So the moral to this story is, life is like a river, like God. And if you struggle against that current, you're behind us have to drown.
Yeah.
But if you hold on and have faith, and even if you start to slip, tie a rope in that, tie a knot in that rope, and the river will let you out.
So it is written, so it shall be done. Lord have mercy. Brother
Well, that's
Martin.
in my new book, Fables of a Paid Piper. That's one of the stories. And I was trying to write this book. And sometimes when you write things down, this is a note for you guys that are listening. Sometimes when you write things down, you get caught up in the parentheses and the periods and the spelling and the this and all. I got to reset it. I was trying to write all of these stories down, but I'm a better storyteller than I am a writer. So what I did was I asked God, what am I going to do? This is hard. God answered me right away. He said, do what you've been doing and make a record. I said, that's so easy. So I went to the studio and I recanted, like I was just telling you, behind the mic, 10 stories. They all have morals to them, life lessons to them. And then I got a banquet track. Well, people at a convention where you heard the glasses clinking and people muttering, what have you, inaudible and all of that. And I put that underneath my story to add the ambience of the people in the room. Mm-hmm. And then I went to a guy named Gary Owens, who's a comedian, funny comedian. And I recorded the responses to his jokes. So there are very varied responses to his jokes on his stand-up show. Then I inserted those into my stories. Then on the hundreds of songs that I have written, I took 5 to 8 second hooks of songs to separate each one of the story, thus creating Fables of a Paid Piper audiobook, Volume 1.
Available on Amazon, correct?
Yes, it's able on Amazon now. It's on Kindle,
okay,
Audible, all of those places now. Fables of a Paid.
Well, you heard it, family. Be sure to let your fingers do the walking. Head over to Amazon and purchase the book. And I have a request for you, Brother Martin. I definitely, whatever you have on wax right now, man, I want an autograph copy on vinyl, man. You got to make it happen.
Well, I will hook that up because if you have the vinyl, I've got the pen.
Oh, man. Without
You got the vinyl, I got the pen, because you must be an old hat. If old as dirt, if you got some vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
On one of my record players and had my daughter come in. She was 18 when she came in. She was like 20, 21, something like that. She came in. I was playing this stuff, Miles Davis. I'm grooving to this. She comes out. She says, she looks at the turntable and she sees the needle on the thing. She said, "Is the sound coming out of that right there?" I said, "Yeah, girl, that's right." He's like, wow, the sound is coming out of that needle. I said, yeah, girl, that's a record. And the young people today, they don't know just how good a record sounds because they have all the colors and the sounds and the frequencies that
Yeah.
they negated out of CDs. So CDs were they call them, that's why they call them MP3s. They take out the highs, they take out the lows, they take out the violets, they take out the blues, they take out all of that. And it just is very like this. Okay?
Yeah, it's condensed.
But when you listen to a record and that comes out of those speakers, those stereo speakers, you hear stuff that you never even thought would.
Yeah.
The strings ringing, you'll hear everything. So that's where I came from. And so for those of you today that want to know what music really sounds like, go to Best Buy or one of those places and get you one of those turntables, put it on some real speakers, and it'll blow your mind.
Man, have you a nice Kenwood or Mitsubishi system or an Akai?
Woo! You'll be like, what? No wonder folks made so many of us to this stuff. Because it resonated all through our souls and what have you. And it just made us, it made us appropriate.
The funny
so good.
The funny thing is it harkens me back to a time I remember that I had to do chores, cutting grass, mow the lawn, do different things to earn money where I was able to go down to the neighborhood record store and looked forward to buying vinyl, to read the liner notes, the album covers. Everything was so magical. And everything has been watered down as far as streaming and downloading MP3s. But again, like you said, you go over to Japan and England, they worship vinyl. They collect vinyl. They still have record stores, and places like that. So, I'm a vinyl junkie, man. Now that's my.
We used to go to Tower Records. Come on, man. And Grapevine, Grapevine or Grape Street, whatever it was. We'd go there and get all of our records and all of that stuff. That was the thing. And here I am coming up, and I got a chance later on in my life to meet Sugarfoot.
Ohio Players, yes.
I want to be free. Oh yeah, be free. Man, I got a chance to meet him, and I used to go and play with my band. I'd take my trumpet and play with his horn section. And and I remember I came over to him one night. I said, I love you so much, man, and what you've done over here in Ohio Players. I hope you don't mind me going over and playing with your horn section over there. He said, well, usually I don't let cats, sit in and play with my cats. In your case, I just said,
that's definitely him. That's Sugarfoot.
Oh my God.
You know what? The thing is, I had the privilege of interviewing him roughly 2 months before he passed away.
2
months before he passed away.
One of my most endearing moments of my life was I'm out here playing, and the Ohio Players there, and Sugarfoot was still alive. I did some interviews with him myself and recorded them. I still have them, recorded in video.
Yeah.
And I used to watch, he had a cane because he was getting a little feeble and stuff. And the band was just playing this song, "Want to Be Free," and he comes out there. The band is just he walks out on the stage with his cane, and he says, "I know what the song was. Shoot, 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 shoot. Yeah, I want to be free. That's what it was. Shoot, shoot, shoot." And they're just playing. He says, "That's my favorite song. And sometimes I want to play it all night long." Then he threw his cane down on the floor. When he threw his cane down on the floor, and everybody got up in the audience and just started giving him his roses.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the world that I was in, giving this man his roses, knowing that this has been a great career. He's touched all of us.
Yeah.
some way, shape, or fashion. He said, Skip, I wasn't even a singer. I just had it. I knew what I wanted to vibe. And I mean, I never did tell my husband, I want to be free, y'all. Oh, y'all. And
Because
then
you
he
could
said,
feel it.
but
You could feel it.
it was the soundtrack of my life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what music is. Music is the times of our lives.
Without question. Without question.
And
Brother,
this
again,
time I've had with you is great. Thank you very much,
no,
Teddy.
the honor was truly mine. And again, family, be sure to get the new hit singles, of course, Careless and also Energy. Be sure to stop by Apple, and Skip has a lineage of music there. Be sure to purchase, and also stop by Amazon, purchase the new book. That is a must. And also to get all the latest updates, be sure you stop by Skip's official website. That's at skipmartinmusic.com, and you can connect with him on all his social media platforms. Brother, thank you so much for joining us today. It was definitely an honor. And as in always, keep it soulful, all right?
Yes. Thank you so much. And y'all take care of yourselves out there. Be healthy. Love each other. And remember my phrase. Don't play no games.
There you go. Lord have mercy. The one and only Skip Martin.
God bless you, brother.
God bless you, brother.
Thank you.
Here on Night Traxx Radio. Lord have mercy. Again, family, remember, get the new hit singles, of course, Careless and Energy, available as we speak, and get his new book. Of course, that's also available on Amazon. My goodness. Woo. And for those who are tuning in late, shame on you. What the teddy bear does forgive you. Hey, if you want to see the interview, we got it for you. You can see the interview in its entirety. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's at Night Traxx XX. Yes, Lord. Night Traxx Radio Music Podcast on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. We also, if you want to listen to the audio version of the interview, we're on Night Traxx on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. We are also, I'm proud to announce, we're also on Sirius XM. We're also on there too. So, hey, we got you. I seen the need. I'm here to fulfill those needs. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And again, before I forget, catch up with us on Facebook. Subscribe to our Facebook page. Again, that's at Night Traxx Radio, from Night Traxx Radio on Facebook, also on Instagram, and also on TikTok. And the artist formerly known as Twitter, you can catch up with us on X. Again, that's at Night Traxx with 2 X's, Night Traxx Radio. Jackie, let's see, Lauren, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate the love. And as it always, keep it soulful here on Night Traxx Radio. God bless.